right. Round 2. Fight. Yep. Had to pop a chew in. As it'll circle around on a few points that encompass the next portion of my life. Sadly, we only got through a preamble in the first 5 years within an hour and a half. Lo and behold, I got 20 minutes until I'm at my destination, so I'll have to either make this quick or pause it from time to time. But we're going to go into teenage years. School years. Enter school. How exciting, right? So continuing on, preamble took a little bit longer than I thought. A lot of BS in the back of the mind, apparently, that I had to get out. But the next section should be relatively smooth. By the way, I would highly invite you to press the ×2 speed to quicken things up a little bit, so to speak. Because boy, oh boy, is there a lot. But yeah. Next portion of life is fun, right? We always said school wasn't fun. Parma City Schools. Wow. Nope, can't see it. I got a river going over right now. But so breaking away, separated parents, moving on one side of the Cuyahoga River. Sorry, this will only be for like one video. But enter my best friend. I started school in a different place in first grade, so I would thankfully be able to stay in the same school system from first grade on. I didn't have to worry about changing schools every so often like some do. But I suppose my dad was the one who moved around quite a bit from place to place, trying to figure out where to end up permanently. So as my mother remarried, she found a nice, technically it was my great grandfather's house that she was able to live in for the remainder of her life. And that's where I would reside for the greater portion of my youth. Like I said, Parma City Schools. Outgoing as can be, but once school starts, it's a little different. When you get around more youth, you find that not everyone is the same. And I did my best to be the outgoing weirdo that I just so happened to be. So I only found 2 friends, one really close brother, so to speak, and one female. I would date one girl for the next 4 years of my life, from first grade to 4th. And everybody needs somebody, right? I was much more attached to my bro friend than I would be my girlfriend. However, growing up the way I grew up told me that I'm supposed to be interested and invested in the relationships of females. So I would have one guy friend and one girlfriend for a many number of years. More so than not, I had one. I had one bro friend from my childhood. Many, many, many friends in between. But one person that I can count on to really capture a real essence of acceptance and connection with somebody. He was just like me. His parents would end up being like a babysitter, kid sitter at some point at some parts of my life. I spent a lot of time with both. Less time with the female, but she was that female who could balance me out and allow me to feel somewhat normal, so to speak. It wasn't until age 7, which puts me in about 3rd grade, I think, where apparently not doing so well in school, not able to sit down, pay attention, focus. I was taken to the doctor's office and lo and behold, prescribed medication to help with such inability to focus. So I could do good in school. This would be what I would label as the gateway into my many, many, many more years of drug use. So I was prescribed meds as a kid. Don't mind me. They helped. They certainly helped me sit down and shut up, be a little more normal, so to speak. I think we all know that drugs in the youth are just not, I don't know if they're necessarily the answer, although they will help. They will help certain individuals fit into society more so than not. Sorry. A little busy here on the highway. I want to make sure that I'm paying attention here. So, being prescribed medication was kind of difficult in the sense that it definitely made me stand out to some kids. This is where bullying would really kind of enter my life and show people that I'm a little different than the others. Not even my best friend had to undergo such forms of medication. But yeah, he was still my bro and would be and still always is. Yeah, once those drugs entered, things started taking a little bit of a turn. Bullied at a young age. Nothing harsh. Could have been a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse. And I'm thankful that it wasn't. Glad it wasn't necessarily, really physical, overly traumatizing. But yeah, it was a part of my life, and it sucks, but It develops character, and get over that shit. Become a stronger man, stronger human. I did not do well in school. I mean, this should be kind of obvious, but it was not my best place. I always felt connected to the outdoors. I loved climbing. Whenever I would go see the father and the father's side of the family, we'd be able to go to the grandparents' house, and she had a big backyard where we'd just go and play all day. Bonfires at night. I learned a lot of my outdoor almost survival sort of thing at a young age. Not that I'm a survivalist by any means, but I learned how to build a fire and chop wood and use a knife, and use a gun at a very young age. Safety, proper training, not a whole lot of training, but proper enough to where I was comfortable in a different environment other than let's say the average norm. I wasn't an athlete, but I was so-called athletic. My brother was very athletic, or was the athlete. He followed sports and played in many sports, so I would do my best to follow in his footsteps, seeing as he is the so-called golden child of just being able to follow the precise ways of how to grow up and be a good kid. I don't want to say good boy, but be a good kid and follow the rules. So I would do my best to follow in his path, but obviously just being so different, it was difficult. So I never really found myself getting involved with things that I could, enjoy or attach myself to. I mean, I was in choir at a young age. I would like to be in that spotlight, so to speak. That would go out over the years. It was still there as a young kid. Felt protected when I had my older brother around. The protection part wouldn't happen until high school, but I always knew that when he was around, things were safer. I could hide a little bit, and as long as I could be like him, I could be viewed as a little bit more normal. So he's 2 years older than me. So by the time we went to the same school, by the time 4th grade rolled around, I didn't really have that symbol of safety. And then in middle school, there was no older brother there because it was only a 2-year middle school, so 7th and 8th grade. So when I was in 7th, he was in 9th, and I was in 6th, he would be in 8th. So it would be different schools from like 6th grade to 9th grade. This is really where things got a little bit difficult. Enter, I'm just going to say it, enter the girl next door. At this point in my life, I'm still under the influence of the old Christian conservative lifestyle, man and woman, raising a family, having kids, picket fence and all that. So by the age 10 or 11 maybe, Go ahead and pause this right here so I can check my distance. All right, I'm here. See you guys. Just kidding. I'm just going to go ahead and somehow wrap this up, this section of the video, section of the testimony, so to speak. Where am I? Enter the girl next door. I want to point out that, I mentioned this, or we'll recap just for a second and say, once prescription drugs entered the life, I really started taking a turn into pleasing people. Now, this can go hand in hand with just being in school and wanting people to like you, not necessarily being like everyone else, but wanting friends, right? I never had too many friends. I had one. I had one good friend that I could rely on, and that was the portion of my youth, up until about 9th grade. I'll go back and forth a little bit here, but until 9th grade, my best friend would end up failing a year, and I would move on, and that created just a whole nother realm of dichotomy and difficulty. But at the end of elementary school and going into middle school, I had no friends, very few connections, and very few skills. Like, I hadn't really adapted to anything that I could really enjoy except for the love of just being expressive, right? Like I said, I was born with so much energy. It's just a matter of time before it starts to go down. That energy gets focused outwards on pleasing others, looking for others' acceptance, and hoping that, people would inevitably like who I am. As we know, that's not necessarily how the world works. So enter the girl next door, and lo and behold, she would be the absolute icon of what, let's say, the girl next door signifies, right? Now I haven't, like I said, I haven't physically accepted, perhaps, what I was attracted to at the time. Now, those hormones at a young age still are in question, right? I had no idea that I would be sexually attracted to, let's say, my own sexually attracted to men, but at that age you just don't know, or at that age I just did not know. So that girl next door became the girl. She is, to this day, someone I could absolutely end up being with for the rest of my life. That chapter's closed, but she was, in every aspect, my other half, and I would be able to visit her and see her every day. Every day I would be able to come home from school and go spend time with this female and just talk and have fun and be myself. She allowed me to accept who I was, even though I was still finding out who it is that I really was. She was my Topanga. And that's really all I had for the greater portion of my teenage years. I'm going to close this up a bit so it doesn't seem as if I'm really nuts in front of this store. Oh, sorry. So for the greater portion of my youth/teen years, up until 16, 17, I would have two friends that I could connect to. One guy, one girl would complete my entire youth as far as companionship, connection, and acceptance. And it was good. It was very, very good. Lo and behold, in no time, I would slowly push these people out of my life. Not consciously. I could pick up the phone at any time and call these people. I have a few people that I could always call and talk to. There's not too many symbolizing aspects to my teenage years that capture in reality who I am. I would do nothing but try to please people and try and find acceptance and love from outside sources. I had a great childhood, don't get me wrong. It was fun, and I had experiences that will last in my brain forever. I was always looking for a source of acceptance through others. And the girl next door is funny because she was a year older than me, so she wasn't necessarily in the same grade. And when my guy friend would fail the year that I passed, which was the very first year of high school, things really started taking another turn for self-acceptance. I just did not like who I was becoming. I could find myself getting attached in the skills involving theater, choir. I'm sorry, my hand's actually shaking. Maybe it's from the caffeine, I don't know. I would get enrolled in radio and TV classes to where I could produce on-air and off-air, let's just say, personalities. I started developing, let's say, like a split personality sort of mentality to where I just wasn't myself in one regard, and I would try and become someone else, obviously in looking for acceptance. So I would do that in choir, pop ensemble, and theater, some sports, but I was never a great athlete. I was never as good as my brother was, so it was always, I'm actually shaking pretty well right now. I'm going to try and come this way a little bit and rest my arms. But, I never really found a clique. I never found a group of people. I only had two people. I suppose I could say I was enrolled in special ed classes for learning at a young age to try and help me get that focus aspect that
level of learning, try to adapt to the form of education that we've created in this world, it never, I don't want to say it never worked. I passed. I have a GED. I've even gone through a few semesters of college, so to speak, but the classroom setting was never my favorite, and I never found too many skills to get involved in. So I started working at a young age, finding forms of work. Obviously, if I can't be an athlete or get enrolled with too many extracurricular activities, I would have to find a job. Worked as a radio and TV expert in not only middle school, doing morning announcements, but filming athletic games, so football games, basketball games, for the school. I would be the camera operator. Go figure, right? I liked the camera. I knew that there was something to this. I knew that there was something to this game of being on screen. Granted, I was behind the screen for most of my youth. Like I said, I was still in drama, and I was still able to, be on stage and express myself in a way. Granted, that was through character. But still no clicks. I got my first job, main job, flipping burgers at Burger King. Enter more drugs. I'll try and stop at high school. Yeah, I'll try and wrap this up at high school. But overall, school was difficult, and I never found a niche. I never found something to get attached to. I mean, maybe the camera, Maybe it was just an unconscious need or desire to be seen, but never being able to actually be seen. So once I got my first main job flipping burgers, it was pretty much downhill from there. I would slowly get involved with bad habits and vices. I would smoke cannabis for the first time, smoke my cigarettes for the first time, and alcohol was not far around the corner. So little by little, I would put on the masks. Bullying was heavy. Bullying was somewhat heavy in high school. I didn't have a protector very much. I had my brother there, but I only saw him so often, so I wouldn't really get the opportunity to be saved all the time. But I could be comforted at certain points throughout school that could at least keep my head on my shoulders, so to speak. It was good knowing that I had someone there, but it was rough not having someone there all the time. But yeah, that girl next door really saved me in the evenings, so to speak. School wasn't easy and work wasn't easy, but being able to talk to her and, well, I gotta be honest, after 9th grade, having my bro fail a year, I kind of lost touch with him. That connection wouldn't reemerge until after high school and after graduation. But that is, I don't know if I want to start the next chapter being military, but there's like that little bit of gray area. Yeah, I suppose I could go into it. I mean, there's a lot to this story, but I've kind of hit main topics. My brother was the athlete, so we would go on vacation all the way to Florida, where he would play with the team in school, and we would go on vacation. He'd be the golden boy, while we would just follow. I would just follow and watch someone grow up and do all the right things, where in the back of my mind I know I'm just not doing anything good, not doing what I should be doing. Getting bullied in high school and intoxicating myself after school at work. This would cause me to break away from my mom's, from the comfort of my mother, and go spend time underneath my father's care. I would take a job as a lifeguard, working at a local YMCA. Had a few other jobs. I mean, I worked at, I would say lifeguarding was really fun because it got me to learn about, it was the start of getting involved with another aspect that I started to enjoy, which would be medical training. I didn't take that upon myself in the military, but I was able to get attached to an area of survival that I knew I would need. Lifeguard is just a step into CPR training, first aid, medical, and it was something to really get attached to that I knew would come in handy. So I got involved in that a little bit, but by the time I was out of high school, I was so broken that it wasn't an option, right? By then, the medical industry would require a medical degree, so to speak. So I knew that wasn't possible. I didn't have faith in myself. I didn't believe myself capable enough to undergo that much training in that field, in that specific field. So I kind of just dabbled around, half-assing, tiptoeing around something I really enjoyed, but knew I felt that I just couldn't go all in with. And out of high school, it just became a whirlwind of drugs, plain and simple. Once my buddy graduated, I would get back in touch with him and realize that he had built up just as much trauma as I had, and it was just as difficult for him as it was for me. And we were both drug buddies. I would be able to see him every day. I'd be able to go to his place. I'd have a car by then, and I could really become a troubled youth, but 18, an adult, a troubled young adult. Just intoxicating myself, doing bad things. These are common stories that a lot of us have. I don't need to go in depth with stories, but they would define a good portion of my beginning years of young adulthood, so to speak. Made a lot of bad decisions, just the common, nomad, bad kid, trying to break away from society. I knew I didn't like society. I knew that society was off. I knew that I didn't fit in. I knew that, it was either conform to the world around me or break away. And my breakaway happened through drugs, through drinking, through smoking, popping the occasional pill. I did quite a few different drugs, but it wasn't not good, obviously. but fun. Fun nevertheless. Yeah, 18 years old, I would enter the military. I would sign on the dotted line and hope to find some sort of direction. I knew it wouldn't be direction, but I knew I knew I could look for a form of discipline, some sort of, if there was a way for me to conform to the world around me, the military would be that way. The military would give me a sense of discipline, maybe not direction, but it would discipline me enough to help me grow up just a little bit, become a little bit more, make better decisions in life, hopefully be able to tell the difference between good and bad. And I think that's where we'll end this one. I'm going to go ahead and pause that there and say next video we'll start off at the young adulthood, and military days. We'll start off going overseas and whatnot. So, live expressively, folks. See you in the next chapter.